because it's the silly, stupid, fascinating, weird, wonderful. They're my people, and more often than not, they're the geeky people as well.
I mentioned Betamax. For anybody older, that's the old version of a video cassette. Video cassette is an old version of a DVD. A DVD is not set on the cloud.
Hello and welcome to Faith and Geekery. I am Becca. This is, which way are you? Hang on, wait. Mark. And this is my lovely friend, Bethany, who I could make you hide under the table like we would normally do with a guest, but that feels a bit rude as we're in the same room. So today we've just, no surprise at all, this is Bethany. Here she is. You are very welcome wherever you are viewing or listening from. We are Faith and Geekery. We are going to be talking about a bit of drama, a bit of theatre. But before that, what geeky things have you been up to this week? Mark, we're going to start with you.
Good evening, folks. I have been baking pies early this evening. My son was really interested in some pies, and each of us decided to have a different sort of pie. So it's like mashed potato topped, but also kind of proper kind of pastry pies and things like that.
And fake pies and real pie.
There were all options, but basically people went for the potato topped in various forms. But there was crumble topped and there was like normal topped. But my son loves kind of pies, so a true northerner. But then also what else have we been doing some D&D prep. So we have a family and friends kind of family campaign homebrew thing that I'm doing, and so we do it every time we kind of meet up. And our friend's son, in fact Jenny's son, is turning some age next month, and he has requested another episode of the D&D stuff. So I've got to get thinking about it, but that's what he wants for his birthday. So yeah. So it's really quite cool, really. But so if anybody is watching with any Feywild homebrew ideas, that would be really good. So send them to me, please. What have you been up to, geeky wise or otherwise?
Well, you have to direct that. Is that to me or Bethany?
Well, both of you, really.
I am binge watching. I am 20 years late with this binge watch, but I am binge watching Lost. I have never watched Lost. I could not get past the first episode where there's just lots of screaming, blood and death. But having watched Game of Thrones, that pretty much allowed. Well, it is an actual spoiler, but it's also the first pilot episode. So the premise of Lost is that they're surviving on a desert island somewhere.
Spoiler.
Hang on, stop. No. So yes, I've been binge watching Lost. I think that is primarily the geeky amount. At the same time as playing Second Life, and I'm building a new sim with lots of hidden caves, which I'm really enjoying.
That's cool.
Yeah, so there you go.
And same question to you, Beth.
Mine has been two, probably. So we've just started pantomime rehearsals for the Amdram group that I'm in. And it's Cinderella this year.
That's a spoiler.
Oh, no, it isn't.
No, it's not.
And I am playing Cinderella, which is very exciting. First time being.
I feel really privileged now.
Yeah, because you saw me as an old man before. Do you remember that? Fiddler on the Roof.
Fitting. There you go. Yes. Yes. Actually, it's really good.
So this is sort of my first time as a fairy tale panto princess. But I'm also assistant directing it at the same time, which probably nepotism in there as well.
Did you give yourself?
No, I didn't.
The
I
role?
promise I didn't. The main director did, and then he's like, "Oh, actually, also can you?"
I have a niece. She's not very pretty, but she's my niece. So sorry, Beth, that was me.
That was me. That's okay. And also, I've been watching. So I like to start Christmas early. So I've been watching all of the Channel 5 are doing a Hallmark Christmas movie a day. So I've just been watching those. They're 100 minutes of pure brain rot, but I really enjoy them.
So where she has to wipe her ear because her brain is actively leaking out of her head, it's because of Hallmark Christmas movies.
It is.
Wow, that's interesting. Sorry, I flashed up a comment earlier, and it says Tom is saying a former thespian. I'm looking forward to this one, but I'm watching, listening while painting this evening, so may not engage as much as sometimes.
Look forward to seeing the pictures
we'll see
of your productivity.
Well, a little bit later, we've actually got the Arty Gallery, the Geeky Gallery, where we'll actually show some of the creation. And this time, Tom's actually been posting up a few, and so we can actually see the progression as he's been painting. So I assume it's continuing that, and I'm sure Tom may or may not correct me if I'm wrong. So that we'll look forward to. Yeah, absolutely. So folks, nothing else to comment on, I don't think, geeky news wise. Are we oh no, well, let's move to geeky news, shall we? Unless there's anything else. I'm so professional. Let's go to geeky news. Here we go. Geeky. No, I've gotten the wrong one again. Oh, rubbish. Professionalism or lack of.
So good. Watch and learn, kids.
Yes, this is how it's not done. So this is actually inspired by Tom's. Yes, that's our hashtag, Tim. Professionals here. It was inspired by Tom mentioning on our Discord channel about our geeky news, and he said about this new product, which is like a arty. Now I've forgotten, I didn't actually include the artist that Tom referenced, but it is a cool sculpture, I want to say New York, and they've made a Lego Ideas version of it, which looks pretty funky and looks quite true to the original behind it. So for podcast listeners, it is love in red lettering with kind of blue and green embossing, is it? And the L highlight and the O is on top of the V and the E, and it's very stylish indeed. And so that was kind of an inspiration for a Lego themed geeky news this week. So that's the first one. These are all kind of new to Christmas 2024. I think this is maybe the first time we're mentioning Fortnite on here, but this is the battle bus from Fortnite in Lego format with 9 Lego characters. And do we mention the prices for these things? You can find them on Lego website. We're not getting endorsed or paid, but if you do Lego, I'll give you my details. There's also Jabba's sail barge, so from the Return of the Jedi, I do believe. This is the massive kind of behemoth ship of Jabba's thing, of where like Luke rescues Han Solo. Sorry, that's a spoiler. Again, I think these are old enough to no longer be spoilers.
No. If I get called out for actual spoilers from a 20-year-old TV show from the pilot, and then the hero rescues him, I think that counts.
That a 40-year film counts. Fair enough. Okay. Then we have a Christmas tree puzzle, which I think is like a selection of, like a jigsaw-y cross-section with various Lego, kind of baubles and accoutrement on the puzzle, and that looks quite cool. And then there's also
surprisingly affordable.
$15.99. Santa's post office as well, with a little hot air balloon, which looks pretty awesome. And I imagine for those who have other Christmas other Christmas kind of villagey sort of things, I'm sure that will fit in. And then I think this is the final one. Yeah, the final page. We have the Santa's delivery truck, which is a little elf and with a little Christmas tree on the top. And then the Botanical Garden, which I think is the London Botanical Garden, which is a massive set, but looks fairly awesome too. So that is the end of Geeky News.
Mark likes to make his own little sound effects when he does some
Absolutely.
whooshing on the screen.
Well, I realise I pressed the wrong button. So, is there anything to comment about those bits and pieces? Those Lego things? Were you making a note,
It
Becca?
doesn't have. We didn't see the Christmas Advent calendar, which I was looking at the other day, which I was a little bit disappointed at. I'm excited by opening Lego every day leading up to Christmas, but when I looked at the individual thing, I don't want that many minifigures, and there is predominantly minifigures with a disappointing Christmas tree. So I was a bit underwhelmed by the Advent calendar.
No, I get that. It's a bit of a shame, really, because
generically Christmassy. It does pair with another set, which I can't remember the number for.
Cheeky.
Well, I think the thing is that some of these are like branded, like with the Lego, and it's interesting that my kids, kind of 7 and nearly 10, they are already aware that if it's branded, they get less Lego because they know that the brand gets it. So Tim's just put, what if though, Becca, you put them all into a display case?
I know. I mean, and then I just need more minifigures, and I'm on the cusp of having not enough minifigures to fully display them in the sheer full wall display that I want.
Can I just say though that we actually have two things going on with our minifigures. One is that I've got some sticky Lego tape, as in it's like Lego tape with sticky,
some of that,
and that's on the top of our TV, and that has all of our D&D characters all across the top. But then we're coming to this time of year, and I think I may have mentioned it on Faith and Geekery before. We have the transparent baubles, where I glue gunned a transparent brick in the bauble, and then you can put your own Lego minifigures into the transparent bauble and hang them on the tree. And that also means you can swap them out and kind of go,
I'm looking for a way to save this idea like I would on Instagram and then forward it to someone else. That's a great idea.
I can message you. I'll send some photos.
I love that. Yeah.
So yes, that's what we're going to do.
Christmas channel on Discord of geeky things we do.
Well, I think we tended to last year. We did a Christmas special, and therefore I think we could do one of those as well, really. And one about geekiness about Christmas, as well as potentially a Christmas party where we have to wear our Christmas jumpers, etc.
Or Christmas
accessories.
Cosplay.
I mean, it's a little bit limited, and you know what costume I'm going to come in, so it's
Are you coming as the Hogfather again?
Yes, basically.
Well, you put all that effort and time into your costume, Mark. So,
so yes, indeed. So where are we going to next? Shall we go to a quiz?
Shall we have a little quiz? Have you got? Oh, do you want a pen?
Oh yeah, we need to.
I do quite like the little kind of conversation that you're having, just as you know. It's do you need this?
Whittering away like the elderly women we now are.
No, because surely then it would be the who are the people off Muppets? I want to say Walkirk and Summit.
What are they called?
Call this a movie? Bah!
That's an ambition. Can you imagine?
I quite like that for us.
Yes, let's do that.
Anyway, let's move on to. Oh, sorry, we've got comments. I'm gonna flick across. Brandon says he's going to be Santa. I'm already halfway there.
Is that beard or belly, Brandon?
Well, I went with presents, so.
Halfway around the world.
Statler and Waldorf. Thank you, Tim. I knew it was. I was thinking it was a nut of some kind.
Why we have Tim around? He's like our virtual Wikipedia, isn't he?
Well, he's like Richard from. I see. I was going to say Richard from Pointless.
Yeah.
It's like with a computer nearby.
Yeah. Yes, I'm there.
They're good elves. Sorry.
I love it. Okay, so first question: if you've got pens, pencils, or Google nearby, if you're
phones.
going to cheat,
No, I'm not
Becca.
cheating, and actually, I've got Bethany looking
That's
over
good.
my shoulder now. So.
Yeah.
So, folks, what you didn't hear before we went live was Becca's kind of admission that she occasionally uses Google.
Once, if it's political, and I would lose considerable faith if I can't remember the name, and I don't
Fair
remember the names of my own pets half the time. So, remembering outside of the walls of my
No,
own
that's fair
little
enough.
universe. Right.
And to be honest, we're not, this is just for fun, isn't it? This is
Based
fun
on
and
my
for exploring.
answers are never the important bit, are they?
That is
So-
true. That is true. So, question number 1. On the 12th of November, that's today, if you are catching up, on the 12th of November 1859, Jules Leotard performed what without a net? On 12th of November 1859, Jules Leotard performed what without a net?
Don't look at my ideas.
I assume he's French, I would like to say.
I might even know that answer.
Jules
I
Leotard.
might be wrong. And I associate it with an old Superman movie, but I could be wrong.
And presumably it's a net rather than a net.
Annette, yes, Annette was not his gymnastics partner.
A space net, not
Annette.
Annette.
That always confused me in that scene in Greece.
You two should get your own show. Question number 2. Here in the UK, this Friday, the 15th, it is Children in Need, and Pudsey is the mascot. The question is, which eye does Pudsey have covered with his bandage? And that is according to them, not just like as you see it. So which would they say their eye is covered?
According to Pudsey, he would, they, them would
Yeah.
say, okay.
I just put yellow down. That's not.
That's not the question.
Which eye is yellow eye? Cheating.
Tim has referenced, Jules Leotard. He's the guy that fashioned the leotard,
Is
unsurprisingly.
that where I
That-
thought that was familiar?
That may or may not be a clue.
Yes,
Oops.
well, I think.
Question number 3, and apologies for this one. A trailer for the 4th Bridget Jones film is just been released, but what is the full title? So it says Bridget Jones, something. So a trailer for the 4th Bridget Jones film has just dropped, but what is the full title? Bridget Jones, something. And that is 4 words. I'm being nice. You've surprisingly gone quiet suddenly. Like, oh, heck.
This is the sound of us thinking.
Yep.
Like tumbleweed.
The quietness. The quietness is a sign that you are thinking.
Sweet sound.
Question
dear.
number 4. Launched in 2000, which model Nokia mobile phone was known to be indestructible, boasting 31 days on standby and 22 hours talk time?
Oh, give us multiple choice.
Oh, hang on a sec. Give me a moment.
Okay.
1 second.
I might have. No, don't give us multiple choice. I've written down the number.
Sorry,
and I don't even.
Wasn't listening.
Which Nokia, also known as the brick, was it known to be indestructible?
Yes. In 2000. I don't want to guess
How
whether
old
you're
was
even
she?
born.
2000. She was
Okay.
5 years old.
At least she was born. That's a start.
You were
Start,
born, so
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Where was I? Come on.
it's a number. Is it a number? Is that? Can we have
Yes,
that?
it's
as
a 4-digit number, if that
Yeah.
helps.
I've gone for a 4-digit number.
Okay, I've gone for a 4-digit number.
I was going to say this was actually influenced by a meme that I saw about the phone with a phone case, and the person said, why does it need a phone case? It's indestructible. And someone said, it's for the floor, so it doesn't break the floor. I quite like that.
I think I
Question.
dropped one of them down the toilet.
I think you did that at Cliff,
I
didn't
think you were, yes.
Yes.
I think you were in the
Because
same
she
house.
came and
And
yes.
And then I shook the phone all over the floor of the host's house.
Yes.
Squealing, going, I dropped my phone down the toilet. The phone was fine. We never saw that woman again. She never invited us back.
I wonder why. Yes, Tim is, but it's the Chuck Norris of the phone world. Indeed. Oh, and good evening, Lydia. Lydia's joined us. You've waved
Lydia's
as if,
the one that likes the cows.
Yes.
She'll actually share it a little bit later, indeed.
Pictures,
question number 5. What is a baby platypus called? What is a baby platypus called? And folks, before we went live, I asked Becca and Beth whether they wanted to choose between a platypus or a porcupine.
I wouldn't have known.
And they both chose.
No,
platypus.
I wouldn't have known either. I've just named them.
Can I say it would be slightly easier? Oh, also Nigel has joined us. Good evening, Nigel.
Hi, Nigel.
And basically, the porcupine baby is called a porcupet, which is very cute.
That is
so a bit of a play.
Is that a clue for the?
No, I'm afraid not.
Fatty baby.
So, if you've answered or got your questions or enough answers to the questions, we shall begin. Question number 1. On the 12th of November 1859, Jules Lyotard performed what without a net? It was a flying trapeze.
Oh. Was it across Niagara Falls?
No.
What about tightrope walking over the Seine? I was like, he's
Is that
French.
right? He's French.
That's very specific. But unfortunately wrong.
Really disappointing.
Question number 2. Here in the UK this Friday the 15th, it is Children in Need and Pudsey is the mascot. The question is, which eye does Pudsey have covered?
His right eye.
I was about to say, can you show? Yeah, can you show it?
Wait,
display
hang on.
This is that right?
If you chose their right eye, you would be correct.
Rubbish at this.
Question number 3. A trailer for the 4th Bridget Jones film was released earlier today, but what is the full title? I'm going to ask you for your suggestions.
Incontinence pad.
No.
I put Bridget Jones, Colin, Hugh, or Patrick.
Oh, very nice, very clever.
Yeah,
it's actually Bridget Jones, Mad About a Boy.
Oh, I did know that.
Oh,
Sad
times.
So, question number 4. Launched in 2000, which model Nokia mobile phone was known to be indestructible with 31 days standby and 22 hours talk time? Could you imagine having a phone that you just had to charge at once, perhaps for that length of time?
I remember those days.
I wish.
Yeah.
But then I used the phone a lot less.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I mean, just for clearing out toilets to begin with.
It wasn't my fault. It was in the back pocket of my jeans. I pulled down my jeans. It kind of just squeezed the phone out, plopped into the toilet. To be fair, the water was clean at the time and I hadn't done anything. So
Ideal.
Yeah, we don't have too much information banner. I'll have to work on that for another time.
I'm surprised we've gone this long without a TMI. Yeah.
The answer is 3310.
Yeah, all right.
And finally, it's what is a baby platypus called?
Jeffrey?
A cub.
It is a puggle.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's an excellent name.
So
A
cute.
little puggle.
Oh, I want one. Wow.
Tim Annan has put best line from the Bridget Jones trailer. Oh my God, I've climbed the magical man tree. Okay. That's really helpful without any context.
Say those words. I think we should do that over the next Faith and Geekery trailer. Is that you saying those words?
Oh my God, I've climbed the magical man tree.
That's right.
There we go. That is really weird. So that is the end of the quiz. How well did we score? How well did you both
I
score?
got 2.
I got 0.
0
Oh,
points.
sorry.
Bethany.
I feel that's my fault, really. So, apologies.
Yeah.
I'll try and
See, I
I'll
don't
try
have
worse.
any of that feeling of sadness when people don't score points on my quizzes. Maybe I should, but I don't. No.
Yeah.
So maybe a sociopath here.
Lydia's put Platty Poo. I assume that it was her guess and not just an exclamation of annoyance and frustration.
Oh, Platty Poo.
Platty Poo. And that will be also in the trailer. So that is the end of the quiz. Shall we move on to our the subject of conversation? And
You
we
are the
have
subject of our conversation.
Well, I think it's what you're coming to talk about rather than just talking about Beth.
Yes, let's talk about Bethany. She's a delightful human being. Beth, you work for a charity.
Yes.
And you have already stated that one of the geeky things you're doing at the moment is pantomime.
Yeah.
And we've already given a clue to what you might be talking about with a little bit of drama in our title.
Yes.
So tell us about your charity, and then we can dig a little deeper into what is particularly geeky about it and what excites you about it.
Yeah. So my charity is called High Tide, and we are a theatre company sort of based in the east of England. That's our mission, to support new writing in the east of England, to prove to people you don't actually have to move to London in order to make it as a playwright. So we sort of have 3 avenues of work. The first is touring productions across the east of England and beyond. London, and then the second is writer development programs. So we have a couple of those. So we've got one which is sort of up for anyone can join as long as you have an interest in writing, and you sort of have like a monthly online workshop with sort of twice a year we try and meet in person. And have sort of a Q&A with an established playwright. So this year, we had Vinay Patel, who did he did One Day on Netflix. He wrote the first episode of that, which is really cool, and he is an ex-trustee. And then we also had Lucy Kirkwood, who's just really cool as a playwright. So she lives in the East. So she came along. And then we've got another branch of our work, which is like writer development, sort of the other side of that, which is we've got 6 selected playwrights. You have to submit a 10-page script, and you then get sort of tuition and facilitation over 12 months. And you're sort of paid for your time, not as much as we'd like, but I'm working on that. And then our final avenue is storytelling in primary schools, to sort of help raise literacy and oracy levels in a particularly deprived area of Suffolk. So yeah, and I am the development manager, aka fundraiser. And yes, that's it really.
So I think for as long as I've known you, you have been a storyteller and a drama-y type person.
Yeah.
I've seen you in various plays growing up. I used to be Bethany's Sunday school teacher when I was 18 and Beth was 5. What is it about theatre and this way of telling story that holds you and has held you for so long?
That's a really good question. I think for me it's that I think so I've done like a bit of theatre, and then I've done short film. And I think for me, I much prefer theatre just because you've got that live interaction with the audience. You can hear the oohs and the gasps and I don't know, it's sort of, depending on how big your audience is, it's like a collection of people experiencing the same thing, but probably in different ways, and also putting their own meaning onto something. But there will be sort of a commonality, I think. And I think it's just such an important part of, I don't know, life, sort of telling stories. Like it's happened for years and years and years. And I just, yeah, I think what I like about it is becoming another person. I really enjoy that. And also musicals, big fan. Why we don't spontaneously break into song? I mean, I do.
No, we do spontaneously burst
but there's
into-
no like
yeah.
jazz in the background.
We
There's
burst
no
into
orchestra.
Green Day in the car the other day based on just one word, do. And then that was it for the next
That's all
5
you
minutes.
needed.
Yes.
So yeah, I think just storytelling connects people. And yeah, that's what I think.
So that shared experience, you're there as an actor, you've got a room full of people interpreting the story in different ways.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do you think we do that? What is it? What are we doing when we go into that space?
I think because you're bringing yourself to that space and you've got a different lived experience, you've got a different life experience to other people. Depending on whether you've had a bad day or a good day, it could be as simple as that. But then throw in sort of different cultures, different languages, different ethnicities, like different, I don't know, raising. I mean, like when you're at home raising, what's the word?
Upbringing.
Thank you. Home raising. Is that
Home raising. That is a term in America. Is the home raising where you put up the A-frame barn is a home raising.
Could have had upbringing, nature, nurture, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've been watching too many Hallmark movies.
You clearly have. Let's upraise the home.
Upraise the home. Yeah, I think that's fine.
And so in terms of the 3 strands, I mean, you've obviously got some, how do we hone the storytellers? How do we uplift them?
Yeah.
What's going on with working with children in low economic areas?
That for us is sort of, so it started off because during COVID, obviously, there was a study was made that sort of screen time went up. Children couldn't interact with each other. And so there was sort of a need for children to learn even more than previously, sort of how to work as a team and how to communicate with each other, and to practice that. And so, as well as if we can do that at the same time as encouraging them to potentially enjoy reading, enjoy writing, and improve those levels, then hopefully that's a stronger foundation for them to then in 10 years time upskill, or like get a job or whatever. So I think that's where the idea came from. And we had it was really lovely. So this is sort of, it's quite a new, the theatre company I work for isn't new, but the project is. And so we did it for the first time this year, January to March. And we went into schools for sort of 2 hours every week for 8 weeks. And then there was like a sharing at the end at a professional theatre. And like the excitement was these sort of like 7-8-year-olds. It was so cute. And they were reading things. They would either performed or were reading things that they had written. So it was like them bringing themselves to it, which was so lovely. And I was talking to my colleague who'd organised it, and he said that there was one girl who the teachers had said, by the way, she won't engage, she won't enjoy it. He was like, great. So I think he made it his mission to be like, right, I'm gonna, if I can get this one child to be up on stage and actually enjoy herself. And apparently sort of halfway through the project, she was engaging. She was like really keen to share what she'd written with the group. She was always the first to put her hand up to like run to the front and say it. Like it was so, yeah. So I think that for me is just why I do what I do.
And there's that kind of element of emotional literacy, of understanding emotions. How do you express emotions? How do you show them? And then empathy, in terms of understanding when you do this, show this, say this, then this means that you might be feeling X, Y, and Z.
Completely. And I think we also did it with sort of their curriculum in mind. So sort of one group did the Celts and Romans, the other did their local area and sort of the effect of climate change on their area, because like there's a lot of erosion. So it's sort of trying to bring that to them in sort of an engaging way that they will hopefully learn, and sort of we're trying to bring drama techniques to subjects that might not necessarily have had that sort of before, and make it just a bit more interactive.
Interesting. So in terms of embodying other characters, so stepping into another character, you said one of the things you like to do is embody that. We sort of did that when we were at Comic-Con last week, and Tom said last week that he's not drawn to Comic-Con because he doesn't want the interaction. What he wants is that separation between on stage and the audience. What is it for you and for the children that is going on when they're able to step into another character? Why does that work for you, and why do you think it works in children's engagement?
I don't know. I think for me, I think it's the opportunity to like explore something else that I don't have experience of, and I think it's that sort of walking in another person's
like being
shoes,
an elderly Jewish man.
Like being an elderly Jewish man. That was something weirdly not as hard to reach as you might
Cinderella.
Expect.
Which I imagine for you will be quite difficult.
Yeah, it will be really hard.
I mean, if you do approach it in the same way, you might be in a bit of difficulty. Cinderella's got a little bit old.
Oh, please, just do as a little skit where you play Cinderella as an elderly Jewish man. I think that would be a gift to the Discord community if you could do that. We'll film it afterwards. It will be beautiful.
Yeah, and then I think for the children, I think for them it's just exciting. It's just I think for them you're not quite, or at least I wasn't when I was that age, you're not quite aware of sort of stepping into someone else's shoes. You're just I think it's the whole experience. So for a lot of them it was their first time even like in the theatre, let alone on the stage. And like the theatre said to us, this is sort of the most people we've seen in the audience of this demographic, which is mad. So I think for them it's sort of the whole experience of it, with the lights and people telling you where to sit and you seeing your mum in the audience and just everything. And I remember when you were so little and then you've got that one line that you have to say and you're like absolutely terrified of saying it, and then you say it and then you're so proud of yourself. And I think it really builds up. So yeah, I would say it's the whole
intentional experience. The stress is really healthy. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about, I realise we're talking about how others see it and how you can see the benefit in others. Is there something here for yourself, or is there anything profound in drama that you find, or anything that kind of allows you to go to a deeper level with drama?
Or connect with values.
Yeah.
I think so. When I'm preparing for a role or preparing like a bit of a script or something, you learn a lot about sort of objectives. And so if you're casting a play and you have your super objective, which is how the character gets from the beginning of the play to the end, and then you have smaller objectives as to how the character, sort of the tactics that they use in order to reach that end goal. And I think for me it's fascinating, sort of because you're trying to replicate life. Like a good actor, you're trying to be as truthful as possible, and it's like, how can you do that if you don't have that experience? So I think in some ways it takes sort of a lot of research, or you try and think, right, when have I been angry? And I've never been angry about this subject that the character is angry about, but I have been angry about something else in my life. So then I try
spilling milk on the floor
earlier. Yeah, I was really angry about that. Thanks, Becca. So I think it's just sort of I think when I'm going through a script and I say, oh, you're sort of, what can you do for the other person? That's the most interesting. We're told in training that the most interesting drama to watch is when you are trying to get something from someone else, and either they are against that or they're trying to get something from you. So that tension is the most fascinating to watch.
Is that
and
between
I-
actors on stage, do you mean? Or do you
Yeah,
mean out
yeah,
of the
characters on
person that you're
stage.
trying to perform?
Yeah, the characters. So like
Yeah.
if I don't know, I was trying to get Becca to leave my house, but Becca really wanted to stay. So
Add the all the
Awkward.
Wi-Fi. It's harsh, isn't it?
So it's sort of what tactics would I use in order to get Becca to leave?
I feel a bit victim.
So,
Yeah, and I just think you just go through life. Well, I just go through life just sort of doing things. I don't know. Whereas actually having to like sit down and analyze how someone would do something, I don't know. I find that super interesting. I don't know if it's profound, but I find it interesting.
Is there an element of understanding yourself better? So while you're working in other people's motivations and all the rest of it, what have you realized? And we're going to go deep and go as deep as you can. What have you realized about yourself, who you are, what your values are, what's important to you by inhabiting someone else's story?
I think for me, it's the importance of family and people in my life, and the connection that I have to people. I think, and that comes with pretty much every acting role I've done. It's that need for human connection, and that's usually the motivation for characters, because they want something from another person, or they want to protect another person, and that's why they lie, or that sort of thing. And I think for me, I'm a massive people pleaser, so I've quite enjoyed playing roles where that's subverted, and where I can sort of not people please. So yeah, I think for me it's that need for human connection, and I'm not very good at being by myself. I really struggle with it. So I'm turning 30 next year, and I've got a list of and I've got a list of sort of 30 things I want to do before I'm 30, and one of them is travel solo, because I've never done it. I've never eaten by myself in a restaurant, so I probably should start there. Do you know what I mean?
I'd build up to it.
She's going to New Zealand on her own
for 17 months.
Alternatively, if they're all in that similar vein, then by going abroad, you may fill them very quickly. Yep, been to a shop on my own, eaten on my own, been on a plane on my own.
She had a shower on her own earlier. I was so proud of her.
I've ticked that off many times. Yeah, sorry, I was just reflecting on your kind of. Do you then find you're kind of reflecting on your, as well as kind of building a role, building a character, and reflecting of how they do it? Does that then also reflect back on you and kind of? So you said about kind of not being a people pleaser in playing that person. You know, is there a way in which you kind of then kind of go, and kind of bring it back into your own life to kind of go, I'm going to be a bit more like that. And I have this in mind because I saw I watched an interview with Ella Purnell, who is the Fallout lead, and she said that she found that she had a bit more of that kind of American optimism and lilt, and the way that she kind of held herself was very much like her character that she never did before, and she had a bit more of an American twang of that sort of. And I was just wondering if, basically, are any of these roles, do they rub off on you, or is it just one way?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the way you interact with, definitely, at least my other actors. It really rubs off, because I've played Tevye in Fiddler on the Reef, which is like, yes, New Zealand. I actually really want to go. Thank you. I also should do a solo trip. I do want to do. I see.
So there's a number of.
I do just need to do.
For podcast listeners, there's various comments coming up on.
Please want me to eat on my own in restaurants, so maybe do the travel. You'll
Yeah.
just have to eat on your own.
And Tim had referenced, Lydia's asking the question, what is TTRPGs? That's tabletop roleplay games. So that's what Tim was saying. Heartily recommend solo TTRPGs. So it wasn't about going abroad, because I realised, I think, Beth, you thought it was.
Yeah. I was like, Crips.
So I was just explaining that. Carry on.
No, that's all right. So I think, yes, so when I was Teffy in Fiddler on the Reef, the character has 5 daughters, and I became very protective of these girls at school because, and before that I was Sky Masterson in Guys and Dolls, which Marlon Brando played, and I was like, oh, maybe I fancy this woman who, because I went to an all-girls school, I was like, maybe I fancy this woman actually, Sarah, and that's the only time in my life where I'd sort of questioned my sexuality. Actually, I never have done since, but it was just that where I was playing that I was in love with she's now quite a famous journalist actually, which is quite cool. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to not flirt with you. Isn't that weird? Yeah. So I think in my relationship with other people, yes, I think I generally am given very nice, friendly roles. So I would quite like to be given a role where the character has a bit of backbone, actually, because then that might rub off on me.
What would that look like? What would be
I don't know.
is there a role that you think actually that would give me the balls where you don't play Marlon Brando?
Yeah.
But not the literal balls, but the backbone.
That's a good question.
Tom's just written up, as you think about that, Tom's just said, as a people pleaser, I also have enjoyed playing opposite type roles. In terms of self-awareness, I think I don't like cosplay because I like rules, so I can do improv because we all are acting and now we're feeding the same stories. But in cosplay, I don't feel that sense of safety in shared boundaries. Thank you, Tom. That's really kind of helpful.
Yeah. So what role would give you that? If you can think of one in theatre, one in movies.
I think I'd like to be, I mean, this is just a daily occurrence, but like a bit more Lizzie Bennet in Pride and Prejudice.
Okay.
That sort of thing.
I think we all
For
would.
those who can't tell the difference between the characters, which one's that one?
The main one.
The
so
protagonist.
The protagonist. Yeah. So the one who
That'll do.
falls in love
That
with
makes
Darcy.
sense.
Yeah.
Mr. Darcy.
Mr.
So I've asked Beth a number of questions. Becca, is there a character that you would like to play that you'd maybe learn some lessons from, or kind of like imbue?
I don't know. I mean, the problem is all names have now gone out of my head. I've not been in a play for so long. I lost a part in a play once because I couldn't spontaneously laugh. I mean, I was 8 years old at the time, and I couldn't bring myself to laugh. I don't know. I can't think of
Cool. That's
who
fine.
I.
No one in Lost.
I mean, there's a very beautiful, is she a criminal? Isn't she a criminal? Why is she a criminal? That is almost potential spoilers. We just don't know, but that is the nature of Lost is there. And I think actually that in terms of what Lost does is show the process of I don't want to say sanctification, the process that no story is linear and black and white. We keep getting these people where they portray someone that looks really, really hard or uncomfortable or unpleasant, but then you get a little bit more of their story and you think, oh, I can understand why you've behaved in such a defensive, prickly way. And then so they kind of have that moment of redemption, and then a few episodes later they've done something worse or something else is revealed where you think, oh, actually no, you kind of deserve that original. And it's a really complicated way of saying life just doesn't go in a straight line. We are not all, and I think I always got this from Harry Potter, we are not all goodness or badness, that we're a jumble mungled mess of humanness, and that's all good, and all of that is redeemable. And all of that is equally as tempting to go down the route where you become so boundaried that you please no one,
Yeah.
which is, no better in some ways. So yeah, I think the messiness, maybe Dulgret from Top Girls for me. I don't know that
I don't know the
reference.
reference
That
either.
is such a Tim comment, is I don't know because he knows things so much better than I do. But yes. Okay, Beth. If we go all the way back to when you and I first met, and I was a older teenager, for some reason put in charge of the 5-year-old Sunday school group,
Because you were the best.
because I was awesome.
Is this a
obviously.
confession time?
No. I'm just thinking. If you think back to that time,
Yeah.
I remember more what we did after the step lessons. We had a curriculum, like you do. This is what we need to learn. This is the story we're talking about. These are the activities that we do. What stories do you actually remember from that? What did we do after Sunday school?
After Sunday school, I remember.
What did we do after?
We went and searched for fairies.
We went and searched
in
for
the
fairies.
church grounds.
And why is it that whatever that was is more memorable than I'd have told engaging Sunday school stories. We'd have probably done some games. It would have been fun.
Hopefully.
Why do we remember the fairies over Sunday school lessons, whatever they were?
Is it because we were outside?
Could have been location.
Is it because were other people there? Because in my head it's just
change
me and you.
Probably. I mean, in terms of safeguarding, probably not good in that the Sunday school teacher, sometimes it was, but sometimes it was just us. I don't think I could do that now.
No.
As an 18-year-old, go for a walk with a 5-year-old in the park. Which is a bit sad. I don't know. But I think there's something about with the fairy tales, you're invited into the story. That we knew that the fairies weren't there, but we created something more. And I think that's what we do when we enter into theatre, particularly, is that by inviting you as audience to be participatory, even and pantomime is almost the blown up version of that by participating in the story, we've engaged and embodied and inhabited it. I think that's what we're doing with the non-traditional storytelling of RPG games and digital games and all the other ways that we're telling story and participating, that there is something visceral and emotional and connecting in a way that, let me tell you a story, let you tell me what you think of this story, we'll do a colouring activity related to the story. I think so long we've done this in kind of spiritual formation, is here is the curriculum. This is what you need to know about the curriculum, and this is how you're going to remember what I've told you need to know. But the difference with the fairy stories was it was relational. It was we moved and we went to it, we engaged with it, and then inhabited the what if, which is so much more engaging than curriculum-based stuff. I don't know that it necessarily works in terms of formation. I don't know that you we're able to connect with some deep philosophical understanding of what is greater than us, but I think the practice of imagining that there is something greater feels as important as me telling you this is a story that tells you there's someone greater.
Can I mention two things? And one, Tim has already referenced as well. It says the Methodist Church does not endorse 18-year-old Becca's practice.
No, it doesn't.
In fact, and Tom's just put, funnily enough, I dislike pantomime as by far my least favourite form of theatre. I get its cultural importance and why others like it, but I really don't like it.
It was like this
Oops,
about
Daisy. Now
last
then,
week.
children.
Pantomime this week. My
Your
goodness.
brother hates pantomime.
Oh, my brother has very strong opinions
does.
about things.
But the other thing I was going to say is I think there is something here about how we engage with people. And so put in whether it's church or school aside, I think it was Educating Yorkshire that was on a few years back about kind of these kind of teachers who were just doing things outside of the usual. So kind of getting kids to perform and stand on chairs. And, you know, I think there is something where actually when you're doing something so routine inside and out, actually it does just become one core memory that you could have had the best day or the worst day. It just kind of becomes beige. Whereas those days where you're kind of invited to go out and do something wacky, you know, like something kind of just so obscure, of course you're going to file that under, wow, what was that person doing? In a good way, bad way, or indifferent, you know, it will still be memorable.
And there is something about hooking that onto experience of nature. It becomes a sensory experience. It's not just in a building where you've done all the other lessons, but to connect that. I mean, in my 18-year-old defense, it was in full sight of the windows of the church, and the woods were not actual real woods. So yeah, I think it's we when we connect with the living things outside of a box, and I think that's what sets do. I mean, I one of my favorite things about theatre is what people do with sets and how you create an environment in order to transport everybody into the story, into the experience.
Tim just says emotions are the things that remains long after we forget the things that was taught. It resonates with the soul more, or at least I think so.
Yeah,
that's quite nice.
And that's my experience of working with people with dementia. Is they will remember the emotions of what we did together far longer than they'll be able to articulate what we did. And so you know when you are a good engagement officer by the way people are responding to you day to day.
Last comment, and we need to wrap up really. It says Lydia says we embody our emotions too. There is often a physical element to emotions, and our body remembers stuff as well as our mind.
Absolutely. There's heart memory.
So thank you, Beth, for sharing about drama and for answering our 101 questions. We're going to come to the last little bit. I hope we don't mind. We're going to run over a few minutes. We're going to move on to Geeky Gallery, which is...
You're welcome for that.
Thank you. Going to sound clip that. So Tom has shared, I can't remember if he shared this earlier before or not, but he says, I had cause to buy Lego recently. The main purchase is not for me, but I did get a free gift, which was a fun little build, which is like a little bookshelf with sound system and a letter from Hogwarts by the look of it, and a little person reading a book. And then this is the kind of beginning of Tom's kind of painting of the of figures. And yes, Lydia's just put, let's move on. Camplin, as always. Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you, Liz.
And so this is just the progression of the characters, really, kind of going from like kind of priming to kind of slightly colours, and I don't know if it's gotten the wrong way around or not, but kind of just levels of detail being added. Oh, I think that's it, in fact. So it's just up to these.
Yeah, the blue ones today was what was sent today. So we assume we're going to get a during Faith and Geekery update at some point.
Yeah,
I love the Faith and Damnation little emblem there. That's very cool.
Yeah,
Tom.
That's pretty cool. And then Specky Geek David talks about his liner cut. So again, these are quite nice. These kind of progressions of hobbies, which are really quite nice actually. Of just starting off with almost just like a clean lino, and then just kind of moving on and going deeper. So again,
the
don't know if
movement there is lovely.
David even says, I don't know when I'll finish it or if he'll finish it, but we'll look forward to the progress, David. That's good. Lydia has been painting a Highland cow. Is it an egg cup or is it a mug? I don't know, Lydia. Please leave it in the message.
Rainbow.
And I'm assuming this isn't a progression, that she started off with this kind of painting of, and it actually became a cow, because that is fantastic. That last one there. I was kind of lingering a little bit just in case if Lydia was on the keys to be able to say if it was an egg. It looks to me like an egg cup, but I don't want to assume that it is. It might be all about perspective. Oh, and that's it. It's a planter. Of course, it's a planter.
Planter. Of course. What else would it have been? An egg cup, obviously.
Real very big egg.
Absolutely. So, I think that is everything. That's all of our Geeky Gallery. Thank you, Beth, for sharing and for reflecting with us. Thank you, Becca. Is there anything left to say?
I think there's something about what lingers. What Lydia was saying about the memory that we leave behind. I think that we have that as we go about the world, is noticing that isn't more than our words and more than our actions, that people's hearts have memories too. And if we want to connect, like, all those things that Bethany's talked about, if we want to connect with people, we're not just connecting cerebrally, we're connecting heart to heart. And I think that feels like it's an important thing to know today.
Thank you, Becca. I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you, folks, and please geek safe.